Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Noorzana Khamis, your moderator for this program. Alhamdulillah, all praises to Allah for allowing us to attend this online global classroom entitled STEM Education, Unity in Diversity. Today, we are very lucky because we have two speakers, one from UTM and one from UPI Indonesia, who will share with us about STEM. For the first session, we have Dr. Hadi. He will talk about unifying diverse perspective of STEM education, implication for future research and practice. For second session, we have Dr. Irma. She will talk about incorporating diversity in the classroom through STEM education approach. We encourage all the audience to prepare the questions and post your queries in Facebook comments. Okay, before I forgot, I would like to remind everyone, all attendants today will receive the e-certificate. So don't forget to register your attendance in the link provided. So before I start the first session, let me introduce you about our speaker. Okay, our first speaker is Dr. Muhammad Abdul Hadi Bunyamin. He's a senior lecturer at University Technology Malaysia, UTM. He got a Ph.D. at the University of Minnesota, United States in 2017. His area of expertise is science education, specifically physics education. His recent involvement in STEM education research has increased his interest in studying perspective of STEM education among teachers. So Dr. Hadi is a regular columnist for our national newspapers, Berita Harian, and consistently write articles on school and higher education for the public. Okay, Dr. Hadi, without further ado, with the topic unifying diverse perspective of STEM education, implication for future research and practice, I would like to call upon you and the stage is yours. Welcome, Dr. Hadi.
Thank you, Dr. Noorzana. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. And good afternoon. I feel very lucky and very grateful because today I'm invited to deliver an invited speech, okay, for the program of Online Global Classroom or OGC. For your information, OGC is a special program made by University Technology Malaysia, UTM, okay, where will be the first time where UTM offer this kind of program, because now we are in the pandemic of COVID-19. So now we actually globalize our teaching and learning in UTM. So that's why we take this opportunity to ensure that we can globalize our teaching and learning in UTM. So today I would like to speak something about which is closely related to my area of expertise and my interest in writing and teaching about STEM education. So I will start to share the content of my speech, or I could say it as a lecture. Okay, this is just a lecture. Just to share something that I have done work with my students, my recent and my former students, and I hope that all of you can give the questions in the FB comments. Okay, and I will try to answer the best for that question, inshallah. So I will start to share my content. I hope that all of you can see it. Okay. So my today's lecture is about unifying diverse perspectives of STEM education, implications for future research and practice. So from this title, actually I want to highlight some of the keywords there, which is unifying, or what you call it, unification, okay, diverse, okay, something that not single, at least double or triple, okay, perspective of STEM education, which is some points of view or the conceptions of STEM education. And this is focused on the implications for this kind of research work, for future research, and also the teaching practice for teachers and also teacher educators in universities. So this will be the brief history of STEM education. Okay, so I believe that many of you may be interested to know how STEM started. Okay, so based on my reading, I read many literatures about STEM education. So actually the idea of bring together the four interrelated or interconnected fields, which is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, began in the United States in 1990s. To be specific, it is in 1992. Okay, so based on Sanders 2009 mentioned that the first term used was SMAT, not STEM. Okay, SMAT, which is stand for Science, Maths, Engineering, and Technology. Okay, SMAT, right? However, in 2001, this term SMAT was changed to STEM. Okay, the reason is that they tried to have a better acronym for these four fields, the interconnected fields, so that everyone can speak in the same language of the word STEM, right? So in the context of United States, okay, USA, the National Science Foundation, or NSF, it plays a critical role in creating the concept of STEM for research and teaching. So NSF plays a very great role in ensuring that the research and teaching in the United States have the elements of STEM. Okay, and they started with the idea of SMAT in 1990s. So this will be the brief history of STEM education, which is started in the United States in 1990s. So we move to what we call the diverse perspectives of STEM education. Okay. So actually, even though we have the term of STEM there, but we also should acknowledge that we have many kind of STEM. Okay, so this is something that we don't know why this has happened, but based on my reading, okay, the review by Bybee, okay, Bybee 2013, okay, when he analyzed various reports, journal publications, books, etc., he came up with 9 perspectives of STEM education. Okay, so STEM is not one. At least we have 9 perspectives, 9 conceptions that are different to each other. Okay, from my point of view, okay, this 9 perspective is quite many. It's quite many, and even some may think that it is too many. Okay, too many perspectives of STEM actually may not be productive, right? Because we can see that many parties tend to use the STEM term in very different ways or meanings. So every parties have their own version of STEM. This is something that I can feel this situation, even though in the United States, when I was there in 2013 to 2017, okay, many people somehow ask me, what is STEM? Is it the STEM for the envelope STEM? I just, laughing on that time, okay? Because many people do not know what is STEM. So, but I try to explain to them, okay, STEM is science, technology, engineering, and maths, okay? And also we have some, the similar term of STEM, which is stem cell, which is very particular to those biological field, okay? So that's another kind of STEM. But in this situation, we have STEM education, all right? So this is something that I feel very somehow intrigued, questionable about what actually the meaning of STEM. Okay, so that's the reason. Okay, I try to come up with the idea of what we call it a unifying or unification of those diverse perspectives. Okay, because I feel that if we can unify this diverse perspective, it could create a more coherent way of using the term, and we can have a more cohesive way of conceptualizing STEM education. So this will be the motivation of my work and my former students. Okay, one of my former students, we have the same belief that we actually can unify some of those perspectives, right? But we do not know, okay, if this kind of action is appropriate for the STEM education scholars and teachers. But we try to find evidence how to ensure, how to make confidence that we actually can unify this diverse perspective of STEM. Okay, So I will go through each of these perspective of STEM because we have 9. So we have perspective A until perspective I. Okay, you can count A to I, which is 9 in numbers, right? So the first perspective or the perspective A is about STEM is science or mathematics. Okay, so if you can see the diagram there, okay, it's classified STEM either to science or just maths. Okay, but according to BIB 2013, okay, this perspective is actually the most confusing perspective because it actually just covers one discipline, okay, usually science or maths. So this is something that I have the experience when people say, okay, we will do the STEM program, okay, STEM activity or STEM occasions, but in reality, okay, the program of STEM is just science or just maths. Okay, so this is actually the most confusing perspective, and we don't know why people want to use that kind of STEM if they just actually cover maths or science. Okay, this is the perspective A. Perspective B, okay, the number 2. Okay, science and maths become the major subjects in STEM, while engineering and technology are hidden. Okay, so if you can see the diagram there, the T and E, the technology and engineering is hidden. Okay, both are hidden. Okay, or we call it dormant. Okay, and we just focus on science and maths. Okay, however, this perspective is still not an integrated perspective. Okay, still what we call a separation between science and maths, but they acknowledge STEM as science and mathematics. Okay, this is the perspective B. Perspective C, okay, the third one, okay, STEM is science connected with technology, engineering, or mathematics. Okay, and if you can see the diagram there, okay, the biggest is the science, okay, and it is connected with either T, E, or M. Okay, and based on BIB, okay, this is actually an initial step for STEM integration. Okay, the third one, right? And we should acknowledge that science becomes the major subject. Okay, that's why the diagram as the biggest one. Okay, science the biggest one, and we need one subject. Okay, to support science teaching and learning. So either we choose technology, engineering, or mathematics to support science teaching and learning. This is the perspective C, or the third perspective. Perspective D. Okay, if you can see the diagram there, okay, STEM is science or technology or engineering or mathematics. Okay, so it is still a different field of disciplines. Okay, they separate S, T, E, and M, but they acknowledge all 4 disciplines as STEM. Okay, so it is more like an inclusive perspective, but it is still not integrated. Okay, that's why we call it in silo STEM perspective, because they still separate the S, T, E, and M. Okay, some people may have this kind of perspective in their mind. Okay, perspective E, the number 5. Okay, STEM is science and maths connected by engineering or technology. Okay, so if you can see there, okay, science and maths the biggest, okay, and they are bridged or they are connected using T or E. Okay, so this is the 5th perspective, and many people may think that this could be some, or we call it the common perspective that may happen among some STEM education scholars and teachers. Okay, perspective E. For perspective F, okay, or the number 6, okay, STEM is coordination. Okay, coordination across 4 disciplines. Okay, and even though they are coordinated, okay, each of this discipline, S, T, E, and M, they still maintains their nature. Okay, because each of this discipline, okay, science, technology, engineering, and maths, they have their own nature. Okay, so that's why in these cases, even though they try to coordinate these 4 disciplines, okay, but actually each of these disciplines still maintain their features. They are not dissolved yet. Okay, this is for perspective F, or the 6th one. Okay, for perspective G, okay, or the number 7, okay, STEM is an integration of 2 or 3 disciplines. Okay, if you can see there, okay, in the diagram where 3 disciplines are chosen. Okay, the biggest is STEM, and they have 3 small circle that are overlap. Okay, that's how we try to represent, okay, this meaning, okay, where we choose 2 or 3 disciplines to be integrated. Okay, this is for perspective G, the 7th. Okay, and this is for perspective H, okay, the number 8, STEM as an integrated 4 disciplines. Okay, so all of that, okay, all other, okay, S, T, E, and M. Okay, but in this case, each of this discipline still maintain their nature or features. They are not dissolved yet. Okay, so in many cases, okay, this discipline actually they started to overlap, okay, but they still not dissolve their own features, okay, because of this STEM, they have their features and they have their nature that quite different to each other. Okay, all right, and this will be the last perspective, okay, the 9th one, okay, the number 9, perspective I, which is STEM as transdisciplinary. Okay, so in this perspective, all 4 disciplines of STEM are totally integrated in a single discipline. Okay, and each of these 4 are now hidden, or what you call it, they are quote unquote sleeping. Okay, right. So they actually, we can say it is dissolved. Okay, they are dissolved their features, their nature. Okay, and they now become more like not the subject based, but more on what we call it team based. Okay, for instance, if we have the project based, okay, to develop a smart city. So this is how actually the discipline of S, T, E, and M are all integrated, and they are not subject based. Okay, so this the last perspective of STEM education. Okay, so my question is that, are you become confused of this 9 perspective? Because we have too many perspectives there. Okay, either it is integrated or not integrated, we have 9 perspectives. Okay, and this motivate me, okay, because initially when I read Bibis review on those 9 perspectives, I feel that quite exhausted, very confused. Okay, something that I feel, why not we have a smaller number of perspective, so that we have more coherent, more a cohesive way of conceptualizing and teaching STEM for the students. So this will be my real motivation why I try to come up with the idea of unification. Okay. And my question to you is that, which perspective of STEM that you favor, or something that you must agree on? Okay, either perspective A, B, C, or even I. Okay, the last perspective. Okay, I don't know how you think about STEM education, but I try to find this answer through a study. Okay, through a study that I did with my former students, okay, a master's degree students. He graduated in early 2020 this year, and I really like his research work. I collaborate with him to ensure that this research project keep on track and have the implication to research and practice in STEM education. So this is the research questions that we use, okay, me and my former student use in our research. Okay, which perspective of STEM is the most agreed by the science teachers? Okay, which one? Either perspective A, C, D, or E. So we want to know about it. We want to know the answer to the question. Okay? And based on this 9 perspective, are there any kind of significant difference in their mean scores? Either they are, maybe they have some difference but not significant, or maybe they actually have those significant difference in their main scores. Okay, so this will be the 2 research questions that we use in our study, me and my former students. Okay, and we come up with our study. Okay, so in 2019, last year, okay, we get involved. We attract 17 in-service physics teachers in the district of Johor Bahru, Johor, Malaysia. Okay, very close to UTM. Okay, even UTM is in the district of Johor Bahru. We managed to get these 17 in-service physics teachers, even though actually the real number is 82, but many are they refuse or they suddenly, do not want to participate in the study. Okay, so we managed to get these 17 in-service physics teachers in the district of Johor Bahru. Okay, so to collect the data, we developed an instrument, actually a questionnaire, to get the answer for the research questions. So actually, me and my former students developed a questionnaire that we, what we call it, self-developed. Okay, and that's why we go through some of the process to ensure that, okay, the validation, the pilot study, okay, is conducted, and we feel that it is very important for us to ensure that the instrument that we develop is something that very reliable and confident to be used by many. Okay, and to collect the data, we use the online platform. Okay, what we call it, the online survey using the Google form. Okay, it is not really difficult because now we have so many kind of social media. We can immediately, distribute the questionnaire online using Telegram or WhatsApp or emails or any kind of online platforms. Okay. So this is some of the brief explanation about how we develop our research instrument. Okay. So firstly, we have 54 items initially. Okay. We proposed 54 items to measure the degree of agreement on certain STEM perspective among teachers. So we have 54 items initially. Okay. However, after we made the pilot study of the original questionnaire, we found that we can only have 37 item rest for the actual study. Okay, based on the pilot study results and also the recommendation by the experts that check our research instrument. Okay, and we develop these items. Okay, we derive it based on BIBIS descriptions on 9 perspectives of STEM. Okay, because we use BIBIS as the conceptual framework for our research. Okay, and this instrument development was actually a co-construction. Okay, we worked together. I worked together with my former students. Between me and Mr. Ng Hen Guan, he is now a physics teacher in Johor Bahru. Okay, actually I want to invite him to deliver this speech, but unfortunately he had some other commitments and he cannot attend this session. Okay, but I feel confident that Mr. Ng Hen Guan really contribute greatly to this preparation of this lecture, this research work, and I should acknowledge his contribution to this project. Thank you, Mr. Ng Hen Guan. So this will be the finding of our study. Okay, so we have 2 major findings, and I want to share the first one. Okay, the finding number 1, and immediately I will discuss about the finding. Okay, so based on our results, okay, we found that the most favored perspective of STEM is perspective E. Okay, if you still can recall, okay, where this perspective is about connecting science and maths using engineering and or technology. Okay, if you can see the diagram, okay, the T and E or TOE, technology and engineering, okay, is like a bridge, okay, to connect science and maths, right? And this perspective gained the highest mean score among all perspective, okay, the 9 perspective altogether. Okay, and the mean is 4.15. Okay, the highest mean score for the perspective E. Okay, so this is the table. Okay, the result of the finding 1. Okay, where if you can see there, okay, A, B, C, D is the perspective. Okay, perspective A, B, C, and until I. Okay, and you can see there, perspective E. Okay, got the highest score of mean, which is 4.1524. Okay, That's the highest one, right? And it is followed by perspective H. Okay, if you can see there, perspective H, and followed by perspective F. Okay, then perspective G, perspective I. Okay, then perspective B, then C, A, and finally D. Right. So only if we can, based on this result, we can have some, what do you call it, prediction. Okay, some prediction and interpretation about the finding. Okay, if you can see there, the score of perspective D is this very low. Okay, and perspective A, the second lowest. Okay, and they have a quite a great difference in terms of, okay, the distance, right, between AD and BC. Okay, it's a very large difference there. Okay, and even larger. Okay, if we compare to E, F, G, H, and I, right? And another one is that we can see there, okay, perspective E, F, G, H, and I, they have a very small difference in terms of the score. Okay, they are very close to each other. Okay, compared to other perspective. Okay, E, F, G, H, and I. So if we just reveal about this finding, we found that we feel that yes, something about the perspective of the physics teachers, the most favored and the least favored one. Okay, it is quite interesting because somehow we have some surprise about the finding. Okay, and we learn from those teachers that actually they have the answers based on their status as teachers, as the practitioners of STEM education. Okay, so we would like to discuss about this first finding. Okay, we are really happy because the most recent study published by our colleague in Thailand, Dr. Chatri Hamta, okay, in 2020, the same year that we completed our study, he found the similar result, which is perspective E as the most common one among teachers. Okay, this is something that we feel, okay, we become really confident about our finding. Okay, and for your information, Hamta 2020 did his study in Thailand. Okay, he's a Thailand scholar, Thai scholar. Okay, and he did his study among pre-service science teachers with 428 participants. Okay, and this, what we call it, consistent findings. Okay, the similarity between ours and Hamta, Chatri Hamta, indicate that we have the sense of the strengths in terms of our research finding. Okay, even though we only covered a quite small number of population in just one district in Johor Bahru, okay, with only around 70 in-service physics teachers. So we feel that even though our study is quite local in nature, okay, but we found the similarity of our finding with our colleagues in Thailand, and we feel that, okay, why not we can have a more discussion with Hamta and his colleagues in Thailand. Maybe we can have some kind of collaboration with Thai scholars there. We are really happy about it. Okay, and from this research, okay, we feel that our research instrument, which is the questionnaire that we self-developed, could be used for conducting research in other nations, and we plan to publish the instrument in next year in 2021. Okay, so this is the second finding. Okay, the second finding of our research work. Okay, we found that 5 perspectives of STEM that are inter or multi or transdisciplinary, okay, have no significant difference in their mean scores, which is perspective E, F, G, H, and I. Okay, so it is back to what we call it, the result of in finding one. If you still remember, I can go back, okay, to the previous one. Okay, this one, E, F, G, H, and I. Okay, the 5, okay, to the right of your screen. Okay, E, F, G, H, and I. Okay, that's why we should say that they are very close to each other in terms of the mean score. So that's why there is no significant difference in the statistics. So we feel that maybe, okay, these 5 perspectives have some common features about the nature or the concept that they adopted. Okay, so these 5, okay, are called inter, multi, or transdisciplinary STEM education. Okay, and if you see there, okay, they have one similarity, which is what we call it integration, okay, or the connection between science, mathematics, or science, maths, and engineering, or all together. Okay, E, F, G, H, and I. Okay, so actually we try to explain why we have this kind of finding. Unfortunately, this is one of the limitation of our study. We should acknowledge it because we did not conduct any kind of further investigation about the research finding that we get from our research work. Okay, and we feel that it is good to continue this study for future research, inshallah. But if we refer to current literature published by McComas and Bargin 2020, okay, they actually did not clearly differentiate the inter, multi, or transdisciplinary perspective of STEM. Okay, and instead they proposed the term of I-STEM. Okay, I stand for integrated STEM. Okay, I-STEM. So according to McComas and Bargin, okay, they define I-STEM as integration of two or more discipline of STEM in teaching and learning. Okay, so we feel that okay, McComas and Bargin did not differentiate it. Okay, they deem something like one. Okay, we can say it one, which is I-STEM. Okay, and there is no clear distinction across those 5 perspectives of STEM, the inter, multi, and transdisciplinary STEM. Okay, so from this finding, we try to have some reconceptualizing about the the STEM perspective, okay, because these 5 perspectives are not really different in terms of their statistical results. So it could be deemed as 5 in 1, okay, even though they are 5, okay, but they could be 1, okay. That's what we call the idea of unification. Okay, so if we try to so-called unifying or unification, okay, the unification process, okay, actually it is quite consistent with the recent term used by McComas and Bargin 2020. They use the word I-STEM. Okay, but we have some concern, we have questions. Okay, will this unification be beneficial for STEM education scholars and STEM teachers? Okay, so we try to extend our discussion, okay, about this effort of unifying or unification. Okay, so we try to rethink about STEM education perspectives. Okay, from this study, we found that most of those physics teachers most agreed on perspective E, okay, which is science and maths are connected using engineering or technology. Okay, and for me, okay, it is good to use perspective E as something that the common perspective among practitioners, which are teachers. And we have some sort of our sense that whether to unify, okay, I try to quote unquote unify, okay, or to diversify the perspective of STEM, okay, that are inter, multi, or transdisciplinary, is a matter of practical judgment by teachers for STEM teaching practice, because we feel that we cannot impose teachers to have certain kind of STEM perspective, okay, even though we have initially 9 perspective there, but we find the evidence, okay, that maybe we try to lessen the number and we have more coherent way of conceptualizing and having a more coherent perspective of STEM. Okay, so it is up to teachers, okay, how they should unify or diversify STEM education, because finally teachers are those, okay, who will deliver STEM education in classroom. So it's a matter of practical judgment by the teachers either they want to use maybe any kind of perspective of STEM that they deem appropriate for the classroom teaching and learning. And we feel that, yes, in that sense, we did not impose teachers to have certain kind of perspective of STEM. And we can say that the term of iSTEM, okay, used by McComas and Bargain 2020 may be adopted to unify those diverse perspectives. Okay, so that's why the effort of unification is still going on, and we hope that we have the buy-in from many parties, okay, to try to unify this diverse perspective of STEM. And we feel that this effort something that would beneficial to student teachers, okay, to physics teachers, to science teachers, and STEM teachers in general. And we hope that this result of our study something that many will can learn from. Okay, and by that I end my session. Okay, you can contact me, Dr. Muhammad Abdul Hadi Bunyamin. Okay, you can contact me through my email there. I started in the screen, and I hope that teachers can happily work with us. Okay, to ensure that they have more kind of the unification. Okay, or more coherent, cohesive way of conceptualizing STEM education. Okay, for that I end my speech. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much, Dr. Hadi, for your very insightful session. Now is the Q&A session. Okay, Dr. Hadi will answer all the questions from the floor. So if you have any queries to ask Dr. Hadi, please do not hesitate to put your comments or any question here in Facebook or YouTube. Okay. Attendance, okay. We already locked the attendance. Okay, look at the attendance link. Don't forget, okay, to register your attendance here. Right? Okay, from the comments here, we can see that many of you mentioned hadir. Okay, thank you so much for hadir today. Right, Dr. Hadi. While we're waiting for the question, I will just some question. We have one specific perspective that commonly used for our education. We one that commonly in our education we just only use one because very familiar to teachers and communities. Dr. Hadi?
Oh, actually, I do not hear very clear from Dr. Zana's questions because maybe due to internet connection that's not really good, maybe. So maybe you can repeat the question because I cannot hear. I'm sorry about it.
Oh, sorry. Do we have one specific perspective, Dr. Hadi, that commonly used in our education?
Okay.
One only.
Okay, it's a very interesting question because it's actually an evidence that everyone look into the unification. Okay, so that's why we feel very energetic and very motivated to unify those perspectives. Okay, even though if you see the literature, the current literature, even though they are very diverse in terms of conceptualizing STEM education, and that's a problem. Okay, so we feel that because we have the data now. Okay, we have the data, and many teachers agreed that they most likely choose perspective E. Okay, if you still remember, how science and maths are integrated, connected by engineering or technology. Okay, so if you want to have to hold this kind of finding, it is good because we have a consistent finding with what we found in our friend in Thailand, Dr. Chatrifai Hamta. He's my colleague there, my network there, and I feel that we now become confident, we may stick to perspective E, to have this kind of integration of S, T, E, and M. Okay, so we feel that yes, why not? We just stick to just one, to ensure that everybody have some, cohesion in terms of how they conceptualizing STEM education, right? And more happily, okay, I feel very happy because if you read about the current conception of STEM education, many are trying to have the perspective E as their perspective. Okay, the number fifth. Okay, the fifth one. So I would like to suggest you, okay, to adopt the perspective E. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Hadi. Do we have any question now? So I hope that all the audience can give a question to ask Dr. Hadi if you have any queries. Dr. Hadi, if we have different definition for STEM, does it give indication to direct our student? The
Was it?
direction for the student?
Okay.
Do we have
Yeah.
any implication for directing our student if we have different definition of STEM?
Oh yes. My answer is yes. That's why if we have too many perspectives, okay, and initially we have nine, okay, if you refer to BIB, okay, BIB 2013, okay, so something come to my mind is that if we cannot unify some of them, if not whole, okay, so it may create some what we call it chaos, something like that, okay, where we have unclear direction how we should teach our students about STEM. Okay? That's the implication for the teaching practice, either in universities or in school. Okay, so that's why, okay, we come up with the idea of unifying those perspectives because we want everybody to speak the same language. Okay, the same language that, if possible, everybody can agree on those single perspective. Okay, so that's why we offer that. Why not we stick to the perspective E? Okay, because we have the evidence, and we are not alone. We have colleague from Thailand that already proved the same thing. Okay, so just go for unification. Why not?
Okay, thank you, Dr. Hadi. Okay, now we have question from Ridwan Osman. Okay, doctor. I want to ask why the unification of STEM is important, and does people around the world looking STEM at one perspective? I think that's a very good question.
Okay. Thank you very much, Ridwan. Okay, I like this question because this actually is a question, a matter of, yes, the appropriateness of unification of STEM education perspective. Okay. Yes, we agreed. Okay. Me and my former student agreed that it is not really easy. Okay, for everyone to have a single definition or single perspective of STEM. Yes, we acknowledge it. Okay, we well informed about it. Okay, but that's why, okay, we feel that if we have no unification, where everybody have their own version of STEM, so we have the problem when we do some programs. Okay, let's say, okay, parties A, B, C, and D, they work together for a program. Okay, and they have a very different kind of STEM for each of them. Okay, so if they are still struggling, still debate to each other, okay, to what kind of STEM that they should hold, I don't think they're really productive in delivering those STEM program. Okay, so that's why unification is one effort to ensure that everybody can speak the same language. Okay, this will be my answer. Okay, even though yes, I know that this effort is not endless. Okay, sorry, it is something that maybe forever. Maybe forever, because we cannot impose those perspective on each of those people. Okay, we can only suggest and we can only recommend them, okay, to have this kind of perspective. Okay, it's a matter of persuading, educating, training, and so on, but we try our best. Okay, why not if we so-called unify them, okay, have unification instead of very too many, okay, perspective of STEM that are less productive for us. Okay, try to have some kind of similarity in terms of what we're having now. Okay, so we focus on the similarity instead of the differences. Okay, this will be my answer. Thanks, Ridwan, for a very great question.
All right, thank you, Dr. Hadi. So we have the second question. Okay, from Sophia Zianti Saleh. Okay, what are the challenges of making STEM field more diverse and inclusive?
Okay, this is a very interesting question because this question will be answered by the second speaker because she will be speaking about diversity and inclusivity in her speech. So I think that this question could be kept, okay, for the second speaker. Okay, I think that Dr. Irma will be the best people to answer this question. Okay, thank you, Sophia, for your question. Yeah, it's a great question.
All right, the next question is from Wan Idris. Doctor, I have question. Okay, how far STEM program have applied? Maybe you can elaborate on perspective in Malaysia and is it still manually applied?
Okay, so in general, if you see the current movement by the Ministry of Education, okay, KPM, Kementerian Pendidikan Malaysia, okay, in Malaysia, okay, we know that they most likely focus on what we call the inquiry-based science education, okay, IBSE, okay, inquiry-based science education. For your information, okay, inquiry is one of STEM approaches, okay, where in STEM approaches we have actually three approaches. One is the inquiry-based learning, second is the engineering design, and the third one we have the mathematical modeling. Okay, so yes, we agree that inquiry is a good way to educate people about STEM. Okay, even though the current movement of STEM around the world, they focus more on the integration through engineering design activities. Okay, but I noticed that, okay, many teachers, okay, many students, school students, and even universities, okay, not really take up the recommendation for integration of multiple disciplines because it is really challenging. Okay, it's really challenging, right? Because we are not trained to be what we call it a multiple thinkers of multiple disciplines. Okay, we were graduating from program that quite have a specific disciplines, just science, just maths, or just mathematics, and so on. Okay, maybe we have some exposure to what we call it to some limited way, some moderate just a moderate one, okay, not the highest exposure. So this will be the one challenge, okay, to ensure that the integration of STEM are in place in our country or in the world, okay, and even in the world, they still struggle to integrate STEM. So no wonder, okay, we still have the problem to integrate it. Okay, so that's why if we have some reflection, okay, the last perspective, if still remember, okay, the transdisciplinary, where the STEM, okay, each of these discipline are just disappear. Okay, I can call it disappear. They become dormant because they are more likely toward the team-based, project-based learning. Okay, so this could be the future of education, but if we want to do that, we must revamp our examination system. Okay, so that's one of the obstacle in terms of the system of the education. So my short answer is that yes, we are still at the beginning of integrated STEM education. Okay, we are still in the beginning. Okay, and even in the United States, they still have the struggle to ensure that teachers integrate this S, T, E, and M. Okay, yeah.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Hadi. So next question. Um, do we have STEM from an Islamic perspective, Hadi?
Okay, so this is very good questions. Okay, where the current movement in STEM in Malaysia, they include the elements of religion. Okay, and they rebrand the name of STEM to stream. Okay, they put the word of R there, stand for religion. Okay, so based on my information, this is championed by those from the Islamic universities. Okay, we understand it. Okay, we know the direction. Okay, yes, even though now we talk about STEM or stream or STEAM, okay, it's just a matter of we have the same conception, which is integration. Okay, integration. Either you want to integrate many subjects or two or three subjects, okay, but we know that if we can integrate some of them, it could be a good one because we can enrich our students knowledge, okay, and not just for science or maths or even science or maths. Okay, and for engineering student they may have some kind of mixture about the program. Okay, of course they learn maths, they learn science. Okay, especially those chemical engineering. Okay, or biological. Okay, engineering like that. So I feel that yes, STEM is something that very close to Islam because we have the word of holistic, okay, holistic human or holistic knowledge, okay. And if you want to study about holistic human, okay, one of it is about the integration of knowledge, okay, not just what we call it the fardu ain, but also the fardu kifayah. Okay, fardu kifayah. Okay, something that compulsory for individual and also compulsory for a group of people. Okay, so yes, okay, from Islamic perspective, STEM is something that very holistic in nature, and that's why for higher education student maybe okay they have this kind of opportunity compared to the school students because in school we have limited time to learn. Okay, and that's the best way maybe in university we can apply more like a holistic or a comprehensive STEM education, something like that. Okay, in universities. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Siti Nurhana, for asking the question. Okay, I have two other questions. I think these two other questions is the last question I will ask. So this is the second last. Muhammad Hafiz Ismail asking you, Assalamualaikum panel. What is your opinion on more initiative on science, technology, innovative and economy? KSTIN and MyST.
Okay. Yes, we realized that MOSTI has just released the DSTIN, okay, the new policy of science. Okay. The most important things is about how they map science, okay, or we call it STI, okay, with the socio economy. And we have the idea of 10 versus 10, 10, 10. Okay. This is the idea of 10, 10, where 10 field of socio economy are mapped with 10 field of STI, okay, such as biotechnology, okay, food security, clean water, something like that. Okay, that's how actually the idea behind it is about the integration, okay, the integration of not only STEM, okay, but also the economy, okay, the finances, right, the politics, even, okay, the religion, even, right, the education. So it's really integrated in nature. Okay? The DSTIN. So that's why if you can explore more about the 10-10, okay, 10-10 mapping, okay, you can see that, oh, okay, so actually we have the integration of diverse perspective, okay. We have the science, technology, engineering, and maths. We have religion, we have the language, we have the education, and so on, okay. So I really encourage all of you to read about the STIN and especially to understand the 10-10, okay, 10 versus 10, right? Okay.
Okay, and I think for the last question, okay, Doctor, do you have any reference mainly about STEM and lesson based on STEM for a teacher who want to start apply the STEM learning?
Okay.
Okay,
In
this.
Malaysian context, okay, I try to answer it in Malaysian context, even though I also will call about the global scenario. Okay. In Malaysian context, I should say that we still have a lacking in terms of STEM resources. Okay. We still have this lacking. Okay. Mainly about because we much depend on the English materials, okay, which mainly from the United States. Okay. If you go to Amazon.com, okay, you can have a bunch of materials of STEM, okay, in English, right? So if we want to use in the context of the local language or local context, okay, actually the best one is for us to develop our own versions, right? So I still feel that we have insufficient materials in STEM integration in our country. Okay, so that's why in many cases, okay, people tend to adopt what come from the Western, okay, and try to modify according to the local context. Okay, but for me is that the best is for us to develop our own version of STEM teaching and learning. Okay, not to say that we have different languages, okay, of how we see the STEM, but to ensure that we can, what we call it, preserve and promoting our culture, our social economy, okay, our science, technology, engineering, and maths, and try to somehow tell to the world that we are doing STEM. Okay, and I think this is the time, the best time, we try to less depend, okay, let's rely on the Western. Instead, we develop our own version using our language. Okay, thank you.
Okay. I think they have also one question, which is same question also from Ilda and from Fini. Okay, I think Dr. Hadi answer both. All right. Uh, so for the first section, thank you so much, Dr. Hadi, for answering all questions, and see you in future. Thank you so much. See you again, Dr. Hadi.
Thank you.
All right. Next, for the next session, for the second session, as I promised, we have Dr. Irma from UPI Indonesia. Let me introduce Dr. Irma before she starts her sessions. So Dr. Irma, her full name Irma Ramaswama. She got doctoral degree on science education at Shizuoka University at 2015. She has been working in physics education department at Math and Science Education Faculty, Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia since 2008. She is interested in developing STEM education in Indonesia. Since 2013, she started to research and implement STEM education in every level of education. So recently, she is conducting research project on developing collaborative problem-solving assessment that integrating STEM issues and developing science STEM-based module using self-regulated learning to enhance 21st century skill in pandemic COVID-19 era. So without further ado, let's welcome Dr. Irma with the topic Incorporating Diversity in the Classroom through STEM Education Approach. Welcome to the stage, Dr. Irma. All right, Dr. Irma.
Hi,
It's
hello, how are
yours.
you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Okay, hello everyone. How are you today? I hope all of you are always in the good health in this pandemic era. And don't forget to be happy because someone said that to fight with the COVID-19, we should be happy. Okay, for today lecture, I'm really happy because of I was invited by UTF in this online global lecture. And then today I would like to share a little bit about how to incorporating diversity in the classroom through STEM education approach. Why diversity? Because of today issues is increasing about diversity in the classroom. Okay, I would like to share my PowerPoint presentation with you. And then here is the presentation. Okay, I'm from UP, and in UP we have a STEM Education Center. Here, the purpose of STEM Education Center is to promote and to implement STEM education all around Indonesia. And we try to implement it since 2013, even though the STEM Education Center just developed in 2018. And then one thing that we have remember that one of the main goals of education is to learn about other and learn from other. And we should also remember that the classroom should be a safe place for students to speak, to learn, and to express themselves. However, we knew that when we come to the class, we face different students. So how to deal with the diversity issues in the classroom? This is the big question for our discussion session. So actually, I want to pick up one ideas from Howard Gardner. He said that I want my children to understand the world, but not just because the world is fascinating and human mind is curious. I want them to understand it so that they will be positioned to make a better place. An important part of understanding is knowing who we are and what we can do. Ultimately, we must synthesize our understanding for ourselves. So it means that when we want to understand other people, we should understand ourselves first. He also defined intelligences as a capacity to solve problems or to fashion products that are valued in one or more cultural setting. Why I took this intelligence definition, because the diversity in the classroom not only come from the gender, but also maybe it could come from the student itself, the intelligences. So based on that ideas of Howard Gardner, we should, as an educator, we should have a questions before we conduct the classroom and to incorporating the diversity in the classroom. The first question is, what should we do to solve student silencing each other in the class? So one symptom or one characteristic that we have a diversity impact in our class is student silence each other. There is no communication. Students have a barrier to communicate. That's one symptom. So we should be aware. That's why the next question is, how can we identify and aware of student diversity? So we could try to observe. We could try to find out in the class which one the student who are really aloof, which one student who cannot speak or shy to speak, for example. And after we find out there is a barrier between students, so we should think what kind of learning activity that can reduce the diversity impact among students. After that, we also ask question, what should we do to treat students equally in the classroom? So this kind of question, maybe it could be a guidance for us to incorporating diversity in the classroom. In fact, that when we come to the classroom, we face different students, right? Maybe in the classroom, there is a different gender, different ethnics, different religions, and all of these aspects create a cultural differences in each students. So what should we do? First, we should observe the class situation. Try to find out what happened in your class. Is there any student who really aloof, never want to speak with other people? Or what happened with the class? Is it the class really active class? Is that all the student can communicate with other students? If no, if you find out there is one or maybe several students who really feel aloof, who cannot speak, who very shy, so just come to him or come to her and then conduct a private dialogue between teachers and students. Us as a teachers and they are as students who have a problem. So we can know what kind of problem they face. Are they feel shy because they come from different ethnic, or they come from different religion? They have no self-confidence because of that. So we should have we have to solve that problem. So what should we do then after we knew that problem? We should conduct a learning activity that can minimize the barrier of the diversity. And one of the learning activity is collaborative activity. Or we can, from these cultural differences, we can teach about values, and we can make a lesson that integrated character building for the students. So all the students in the class can respect each other, no bullying, they can understand each other. As we know that collaborative learning can promote ability to maintain and appropriately modify independent relationship with others towards success in achieving goals. It promotes the development of positive attitude toward other group members and learning material and build social relationship and group cohesion. This is one theory that I take as an idea. However, from this kind of philosophy, for this kind of theory, we should also arise the question, what kind of learning approach that can be integrated in this collaborative learning, and then how to assess this collaborative skill. Even sometimes when we try to conduct a collaborative activity, we rare to assess that collaborative skill. We didn't realize that in that kind of activity, we also train students with the collaborative skill. And luckily, I have a grant from the government last year, and then we developed assessment. We call it CPS, Collaborative Problem Solving. This is using web. We conducted this research, and we developed this assessment to handle the problem from the teacher. Some teacher asked to me how to assess collaborative objectively, because somehow it is difficult to observe students and then to find out how they collaborate with others. So then we try to promote this and develop this assessment using internet connections. In here, we use a program that can identify that can categorize student collaborative problem solving skill. Maybe in the next session we can discuss about it. And then for the answering question, what kind of approach that can be integrated in the collaborative learning? So we choose STEM education. Why? Because in STEM education we have the characteristic of STEM education, that is scientific and engineering practices. So in here, students will train to have several phases as an engineer or also as a scientist. So here they will try to understand concept of science that integrated with technology, and they act as an engineer, and then also they act as a scientist and also mathematician. Here we always start with problems. So the first step is we will ask students to identify problems, and then after identify the problem, we ask them to brainstorming about what kind of solution to deal with that problem, to solve the problem. In this step, the students are forced to speak, are forced to collaborate. So the diversity among students, I hope it will be minimized. And after that, after they have a brainstorming, they decide which one is the right solution. They will design the solution and then construct and then test the construction. If it is failed, they try to redesign and then construct again until they feel this is the right one, this is the perfect one. And then after that, they share the solution to the others. And this kind of phases is called engineering design, process design. And then why should STEM education? Because here we are live into the 21st century. We face the development of technology and science that make us also have to adapt with that kind of technology development and scientist development. And we should think that in the future, what kind of human that we should create it. It starts from our student. What kind of student we should prepare for their future? Not only knowledge here. Of course, knowledge is the first thing. When we try to build knowledge, it means that we need a disciplined mind of the students to understand science, technology, engineering, or the other disciplines. And then beside the knowledge, we also can teach, we need also intellectual and practical skills. That it means that we need our synthesizing mind, that also need creativity, innovation, problem solving skill, and critical skill. Beside knowledge and intellectual practical skill, we also need personal and social responsibility skill. Here, we use our respectful mind and ethical mind, where we are trained our students to communicate respectfully and then communicate with ethics. And from the knowledge, we also can create a literacy. Even literacy can be science, mathematics, technology, and engineering. And when we train this kind of literacy to the student, then our student will become a STEM literate. So to be a STEM literate student or to be a STEM literate human being, we need STEM education. So what is STEM education actually? I take it from Bybee. He said the STEM is abbreviation of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, not only as a slogan, but also have a purpose in education. The purpose of STEM education is to develop the content and practice that characterize the respective STEM disciplines. And the purpose of STEM education for all students is to learn to apply basic content and practice of the STEM discipline to situations they encounter in their life. So even we knew that as teacher, we will not have a student who becomes scientist in the future. Not all our students will become a scientist or will become an engineer, but at least they have a STEM literate and they can face their future life better, and they can handle with all the problem in their daily life in the future. Here is some result. So when I said previously that I took a Howard Gardner idea that every student have different or have multiple intelligences. Every human have multiple intelligences, even though in every human they have one or two dominant intelligences. Here I try to create a collaborative learning, and then we try to group the student based on their MI profile, multiple intelligences profile. So I group the student with the dominant of logical mathematical, for example, here in the group A. And then after the research, we can conclude that there is a consistency between profile and also the characteristic of the student. By giving up their activity, the student who have a logical mathematical are easily to solve the problem related to the mathematical problems. And then as one example of how to incorporating diversity to STEM education approach, here in UPI, in STEM Education Center UPI, we develop a program. We call it Young STEM Program. And then what is Young STEM Program? And what will students learn? This is a supervised hands-on activity with many different STEM, from how to use math in the real world. So we take up a transdisciplinary perspective here, and then making model of renewable energy, and then saving your environment from natural disaster, finding out how to prevent heart attack, and even conduct your own research in lab facilities. So we have also collaborative with other part in math and science education faculty. Here with the lecture, we have a short internship program for this young STEM program. So why it could minimize the diversity barrier? Because in this activity, the students were trained to be logic, to be critical thinking, to be focused and motivations. We also train their motoric skill, social skill, creativity, self-confidence, problem solving, and independent responsibility. And when it conducted every Saturday morning, twice in a month, from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. at Museum Pendidikan Nasional. So Indonesia in UPI, here we have a special museum that related to education. We call it Museum Pendidikan Nasional. And then this is our timeline of the program somehow. So we start from the requirement, and then admission, and then the first meeting, we always introduce about what is STEM, what the program, why did we develop the program to the student, and then after that, we challenge the student with several themes, and then end it with the exhibition. And then here are some examples. Hopefully you can identify what kind of the engineering phases in this video. So here the students are challenged to create an automata, between a robot without machine. So we explain to them here. So here the program is have a collaborative with 4 different Korea. So we have a cooperative work with the 4 different Korea. We use this tube so the student can create their prototype easily. So before they conduct the prototype, they design, they draw their design, then start constructing. Okay, as you see that in the class, not only male student, but also there is a female students. So this is the proof that our class is very different, and we also not only Muslim student, but also the other religion students. And this is the exhibition, the end of our program. We always conduct exhibition. We invite parents to see a student product so they can feel proud of their children product. And for this session, the last year session, we asked students to create automata and then catapult and then bridge and then rolling ball. And then in the mechatronic class, we have two classes, creativity and mechatronic. In the mechatronic class, we asked them to create a Viking ship, RC car, green robot car, and the last one is Arduino deal with the COVID-19 because we stuck with this pandemic. And then in this activity, not only create student imagination, creativity, but also empathy, motivation, and value creation. And here are some pictures when students are creating their product. This is about green robot. They try to present their product and then they're testing their product. And here are some video of the exhibition where we ask students with some challenge or project here.
Tantangan kalian membuat rolling ball nggak boleh sama dengan contoh. Bolanya bebas, terus bolanya harus menggelinding minimal 3 detik.
My name is Amira. Rahma.
Jadi salah.
My name is Ramfa. My name is Khamis. My name is S.Si. Hello, my name is Noorzana. So let's get into the questions. So the first question is, what did you make? Saya membuat roller coaster. I made a roller coaster from plastic tubes.
I make a rolling ball.
Rolling ball. My rolling ball that I made out of 4D frames. Why did you make it? Well, it looks unique. Then the other ones, as you can see here, it looks really cool. Because why not? It looks fun, and it's fun. Karena terlihat gampang, tetapi tidak segampang yang saya pikirkan.
I make it because it's interesting to make, and for the loop is challenge me to make it because make the loop is really hard.
Because we need the ball to rotate longer, because this is strong, simple, and allows me to modify it, even though that it is already made. Iya nih teman-teman, ball yang saya buat meskipun terlihat sederhana ya teman-teman, tapi susah loh buatnya. How did you make it? How about I show you? You got these straws, right? This we got some wires. You can bend the yellow tubes, like any shape you want. For that, I used this design and this one. I made this by first doing the cube. Buat rangkanya terlebih dahulu. Buat menaranya. Rangkanya dulu. Lalu membuat lintasan lurusnya.
I make the line first, and then I make the base.
Sometimes just stop working like that. Penahannya suka nggak pas. Pas waktu turunnya itu malah terbang gitu, jadi masuk ke sini.
the loop. It's really hard, and the tube is limited. The ball is in high level, there's potential energy. And when the ball is rotating to the lower level, there's transformation from potential energy to kinetic energy. I also made these numbers so I can put the marker.
So here the student have a testing time. They act as an engineer here. So they have a engineering skill. They experience as an engineer.
Yeah.
They have to build with the accurate challenge because we asked them to create a roller coaster that can not more than 3 seconds when the ball is moving from the roller coaster. So this is all is the elementary school students. We have a collaboration with schools in our area. So they're really interested with this program, and then we have a collaboration. They send their students to this program. So actually, we start this program since 2018, and then this is the last this year activity.
So thank you so much for watching. That's all from me, and here's me playing one, but it fell. And then bye guys.
So this is for elementary levels, and then we have other videos for secondary level. This is junior high school students. They created, we give a project that the tab is relating to the COVID-19. We give them the problem about the COVID-19, and then we use Arduino Uno to ask them to solve the problems that they face in COVID-19 era. So they
Hi, my name is
create
Hadi
a good
and I
product.
made an automatic door. This door can close and open automatically without touching the door.
My name is Irma Ramaswama, and what do I make here? I made smart classroom.
My name is Axel Priyangga Maiswara, and I made an automatic gate.
My name is Ananta Saka Pramudia. The things that I made is called automatic distance reminder.
My name is Sasha. I make an automatic hand sanitizer.
My name is Muhammad Hilmi. I did make a very simple automatic dustbin.
My name is Zahra. I wanna make some air disinfectant sprayer.
My name is Davamya Putra, and this is Smart Facial.
At the moment, the whole world is being shocked by the existence of the coronavirus. Every day, the virus spreads and spreads to thousands of people around the world. In some cases, the coronavirus spread is caused by objects that are generally touched by others, such as trash cans and others. Very important to keep our distance with other people.
This is like COVID-19 situation where you can't touch anything, like the toilet, the floor, the door handle, anything, because it possibly gonna contain some virus.
These things can work without being touched by anyone. So yeah,
we can minimize the spread of coronavirus. In the first step, I made a circuit like this. I made a trash can frame using cardboard, and I made it in a block shape. The last step, I did the coding of Arduino so that the trash can function automatically. The trash will open automatically when an object is detected in front of the sensor. So we don't need to touch the trash can to open it.
Yeah, if I touch this, there, it's gonna open the thing. So if I pull my hand back, it's gonna close the thing. Yeah.
If somebody near me for less than 1 meter, the sign will come up and say that you are too close from me. And if somebody is far more than 1 meter, the sign will go back down. Now let's try this one again. It's less than 1 meter, and it's small. And yeah, that's how the face shield works.
As you can see, when a hand approaches the ultrasonic sensor, the sensor will receive a signal and send it to the servo motor to open the door. Then, after a few seconds, the door will close itself. Okay, maybe it's time for the test. Okay, that's it for today. Thank you for watching. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, that is the video. I hope that you are more curious and we can discuss more about how to implement STEM education approach in the classroom. And then here are some result feedback from those students. We give them a questionnaire related to the STEM attitude or student attitude toward the STEM. So here we can see that 19.8% students are most interested in science. So all of the students are interested in science. And then 72 most like science for their career. And then 77 most of the family interest was in science. So it was also supported by the family because of the family background also science. So they also want the children to join in the science field. And then 93% most of students choose after this activity, they choose science for their career. That's all my presentation. Thank you. If you have any further question, you can find me in stemcenterupi@gmail.com or at irma.rs@upi.edu, or you can visit our museum website, www.museumpendidikannasional@upi.edu. And here was conducted incorporating with among for different and STEM Education Center. Thank you very much. I pass this session to moderator.
Thank you so much, Dr. Irma, for your interesting presentation. All right, now let's go to the Q&A session. All right, okay, this is the first question in previous. So the question is for you, Dr. Irma. what are the challenges of making STEM feel more diverse and inclusive? This is from Sophia Zianti Saleh.
Okay, thank you, Miss Sophia. Thank you so for your wonderful questions. Actually, yes, in the first step, when we are trying to implement STEM education, we have a big challenges. The first challenges that we face is the perspective of STEM education that already delivered by Hadi. We also have a difficulty how to unity the perspective of STEM among our teachers, among our developer in this program. So we have a sharing session firstly before we develop this program to minimize or to make a same perspective so it can minimize the challenge. And then the next challenge is we try to find out the problems because in the STEM education approach, the mainly activity, we should deliver the activity with the problem. So somehow we try to find out what kind of idea, we try to connect with the content of our curriculum. For example, for the elementary student, what kind of content they already have, what kind of content that the school and the teacher already give to them. So we should develop a program based on what they already knew, or even though if they are not already new, we should not across or we should not go out of the content of material based on our Indonesian curriculum 2013. This is a second one of the challenges that with the idea, we come up with the idea, we should analyze first the curriculum content. After that, the next challenges is we try to incorporating the student diversity in the classroom somehow. When in the first time we have a different student with different cultural differences. We have a student that come from different school, different religions, and we are trying hard to give an equal treatment to the student. This is the important thing, that in our program we are equal, even it is a male or female. Somehow we group them in separate group, male and male, female and female. So we are challenge them to create a good product. It means that female won't beat it by the male. So this one is the main thing that we always do, even though not all every meeting we are group them in the different gender, but also sometimes we mix it the gender. That's all maybe the challenge that we face in integrating STEM approach in the learning process.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Irma. So the second question is from Tinish. Hi, Dr. Irma. Thank you for the session today. Okay, I would like to ask, which is the best learning approach for special students with autism or ADHD? How to make sure they gain their interest toward education?
Okay, thank you very much for the question. This is very good questions. And then yes, for the inclusive class, for the inclusive student, we have to think about special treatment for them, the good or the appropriate approach for them. So for the autism here, as you know that we have a collaboration with For Different Korea, where we use a tube that can make student creative, that can build everything by the student and try to make student focus in their learning process. So the media, this learning media also we use to deliver to this kind of inclusive class. So there are some visitors that come to us and then ask that that kind of learning media can help the student with autism. So they really interested with this learning media, and then they also ask to us about how to create the activity, especially for the autism. The more important thing is how to make them focus, how to make them interested with the lesson. That's all.
Okay, thank you. So we go to the next question. Okay, from Wan Idris, hi, may I ask a question? Yes, you may. Is there other learning modes other than collaborative learning style that we can use to apply during STEM learning session?
Of course, of course. You can adapt other learning models. You can integrate project-based learning. You can adapt problem-based learning or inquiry. The important thing is STEM here as an approach, not as a learning model. So we can use any learning model, not only collaborative. Collaborative is only one of a learning model. We can also use the collaborative as a strategy, not a learning model. We can, for example, the main of the learning model is inquiry. So we can put inquiry as a learning model, but maybe the collaborative as a strategy and the STEM education as an approach. So that is important thing one. Not that our perspective about STEM education is not a model. This is a learning approach. So we can integrate, we can combine other learning model in our activity.
Okay, thank you. So I think this is a very good compliment I would like to share here. Okay, wow, cool. I think it's so interesting mainly for elementary or junior high school. This is from Fini Alfionita, right? And also from Irha Maidi, he mentioned here interesting. Okay. Also question from Ridwan Othman. Okay, doctor, from all interesting activity you show us in this video, how you can trigger the student to join the activity and eventually understand what they learn, especially this online session, during our pandemic now.
Okay. Thank you very much for your question. I'm sorry for a big sound bothering me. Maybe you can hear about that. Okay. Somebody knocking my door. Okay. Actually, we give student motivation. Actually, this program was built since 2018. Firstly, we have a collaborative with the school. We ask the teacher to choose representative students who are interested in science and who have a great motivations, so we can engage them easily. So actually, yes, is it really hard if we didn't have a student who have a big motivation in science? So the first requirement when we conduct this program is the program is free for the student, but the student should propose a letter of motivations why they join this activity. It means we try to engage the student from the beginning. So we have no problem when trigger them to always involve in our activity, because we already choose the student. We already choose the student from their letter of motivations. So even though, yes, in this kind of sessions, they have maybe lack of motivation because of this pandemic, they should be online, but we encourage them. We encourage them with some award that we say that if you are pass this session with the great product, so you can come and join to other competition in Korea, I say. So you have a free, you can free to join with the competition. You can come with us to the Korea, just like that. So we also give that kind of motivation, that kind of award to the students. And then the other question is understand what they learn. So we always ask students to create a video to make a progress of their learning in the home, so we can try to investigate, identify why they are difficult in from the progress of a video. That's all. Hopefully it's
all right. Okay, thank you. So the next question, okay, the question is from Siti Nurihan. Hi, doctor. What are the important aspects that need to be considered in integrating flipped classroom with STEM education effectively?
Okay, what is the important aspect that need to be considered integrating flipped classroom with STEM education effectively. So, firstly, we should prepare the materials. We should think what kind of content that we want to deliver in the classroom, and then what kind of method or strategy in the flipped classroom that we would give to the student. For example, if we want to have a reading infusion for the students, so we can prepare the students, prepare the material, prepare the reading material for the student before they come with us with the online sessions or the meeting, so they can understand what kind of problem that we give to them, and then they can find out what kind of solutions to solve the problem. Okay, I think that is the important aspect. We should prepare all the materials. We should prepare all the content. We should prepare all
Yeah, correct.
the learning step of the activity. Mhm.
All right, the next question is from Siti Nurhana. Okay. How to cultivate the interest of students who have no interest in STEM? Mhm.
Oh, okay. This is a good questions actually. Uh, the important thing is engage the student in the first time meeting. So sometimes I conduct a special activity for them to have interesting in STEM. What, for example, we have a game learning for the student related to the science, related to the technology. So they are interested since in the beginning. So the first impression is important, I think. So for example, I have a testimony for this from the student that joined our program. He said that I hope the teachers in the classroom are also have a conduct the same activity like we develop, because he said that actually I don't like science. He joined this program because of her mother, but after they are joining our class, he said this is interesting. We have a freedom to express ourselves, our imagination, our idea. He said like that. So I think the important thing is let's give a good first impression to the student about science. Don't make them feel uh, afraid of science. Don't make them feel afraid of physics. Even though sometimes some students are afraid of physics, right? This is very strange lesson and etc. But I'm never doing that. So I always give a first good impression to the student by using other strategy or method of teaching, just game based or another activity, just teamwork or anything to make them collaborate and to make them interested in science.
All right. Thank you. Okay, so the next question is from Yilda Salwani. What are the challenges to instill collaborative through online lessons?
Okay, so until now I have still learning how to conduct the collaborative learning through online lesson. So just like you see in the last video, we asked them to create the product individually because we cannot make them collaborate in this kind of pandemic era, right? But we are now trying to have online collaborative by discuss the problem first, discuss the solution first, and then they can divide their work to solve the problems. However, in this class, we still ask students to create their individual project. But firstly, they are collaborate each other. They discuss in the group. They discuss online about what kind of the best solution for this problem.
Oh, okay. All right. So I think that's the last question for today. We have a lots of compliment here. This is one another from Ridwan Osman. Okay, he mentioned that that's really helpful, doctor. Okay, I hope I can see all the process by myself and learn a lot more from you, Dr. Irma. Okay, thank you so
Wait
much.
for you.
Okay, so before we end our session, I would like to call Dr. Hadi to enter the stage again. Welcome, Dr. Hadi. Okay. Alright, Dr. Hadi. Before that, I would like to share all the compliment here. Okay, I think maybe start from here. Sorry, give me time. Okay. Okay, thank you very much, Doctor. I agree to integrate student using the STEM in Islamic philosophy. Okay, this is from Siti Nurhana. And also compliment from her. Thank you very much, Dr. Hadi and me for the best topic and presentation. Thank you. And also the compliment from Rona and lots of compliment from others, I think. Okay. And thank you so much for all the compliment here. Interesting and so on. Okay. So for wrap up of this topic, unity in diversity. So I would like to hear the comment from Dr. Hadi first, and after that Dr. Irma. So Dr. Hadi, do you want to say something to give the conclusion about this topic today?
Okay, I try to figure out my point in around 5 minutes. Okay, and another 5 minutes for Dr. Irma to conclude the speech. Okay, and I think after that we can end the session. Okay, so something that I try to to acknowledge the motivation. Okay, the desire to see STEM education in more cohesive ways in the country. Okay, and also the region. Okay, region means Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand. Okay, Philippines. Right, we have Brunei, Vietnam, and so on, and also at the global stage. Right. Yes, it is quite impossible for everybody to have one or the single perspective of STEM, okay? Because simply we are in diverse nations, diverse culture, okay? Diverse way of thinking. Yes, this is just impossible, right? But it doesn't mean that it's we have a very closed door, okay? The door is not closed yet, okay? It is still open, okay? It is still open for us to have what we call discussion, okay? For us to have more like focus on the similarity, okay? Instead of seeing the differences that we have, okay? And if we read the literature in STEM education, okay, maybe 2010 until 2020, okay, and now we are at the end of the year, okay, we can see that now we, some ways we have more cohesive way. That's the good news at the global stage, right? Especially when not really many try to debate, okay, the huge number of perspectives that I can see there, okay, and instead they focus on the activities, okay, because and when we focus on the activities, okay, we let's talk about something that we are different at, right? And we focus on the product instead of the what we call the thinking part. Okay, so that's the way how we can lessen the number of the perspective by working together. Okay, but we know, okay, to have a consensus for everybody to have a single perspective of STEM. And Dr. Irma also mentioned about one of the challenges, okay, at the initial of the program that she made in Indonesia. Okay, so it is true. It is true that everybody have their own version of STEM education. Okay, so but for me, okay, because I conduct this research work with my former students, Mr. Ng Heng Guan, and he is a physics teacher. Okay, both of us have a kind of what we call it a pragmatic way of thinking. Okay, we are not really idealistic. We are not really what we call it not someone who are really ambitious about getting all together and have one perspective. Okay, we are pragmatic in that sense. Okay, so that's why in many ways it is very lucky for us to have a more cohesive way of thinking about STEM education. And we are really open on when the teachers think that the 5 perspectives of STEM, which is the inter, multi, and transdisciplinary, are not really different in terms of their conceptions or their thinking. Okay? We can see the reasons. Okay, we can predict the reasons. First, maybe because they have some less exposure to STEM education. Okay, because we are just in the beginning of this era, okay, STEM education era. Okay, so many may have less exposure to STEM education, their concepts, perspectives, okay, and way of thinking about STEM education. And the second one is that about the training. Yes, we have not done many training of STEM, even though now the number is growing, but we need more training about STEM education, integrated STEM, how to use inquiry, how to use engineering design, how to use mathematical modeling, and even now in the pandemic COVID-19, we need to have or to really well integrated the technology part. Okay, that's very crucial. Everybody now become online educators and online learners. Okay, so to conclude my session, I still feel that, okay, and my former students feel that we should work together. Instead of looking for the differences, we seek for more cohesive way of conceptualizing, okay, and have the agreement, the consensus, okay, and ultimately we go for the product. Means we do the activities, okay, and by doing those activities, we expect that we are less talking, but we are more on the doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hadi. Okay, and what about Dr. Irma?
Okay, thank you very much for this opportunity. So actually, I would like to give you information that actually I started implement STEM education since 2013 when I'm still studying at Shizuoka University. And it's not a very easy way to come to people to introduce STEM education, just like Hadi said that I also have a difficulty when try to open mind the teachers, even when they are also questioning many perspective of STEM. But I never give up when some of people said, "What is STEM? What is it?" Just like Hadi said, this stamp. Stamp is stamp just like postcard, or stamp in Indonesia is still called stempel. Yeah. So I never give up. I'm started from one school that we have a collaborative until now from 2013. The name is SMP Muhammadiyah 8 Antapani. I'm really happy because at the time the school have wide have give us opportunity, especially to me. The headmaster say, okay, if you have new idea, just come and implement in our school. So we have collaborative. After that, some people learning when I try to ask students to come to Japan, visiting Japan and joining the STEM camp program in my laboratory. In that time, I'm still a student, and then I asked my supervisor to invite an Indonesian student from that school already have a collaboration with me. And then he said, okay. And then after that, the school become famous. Many people, many parents are eager to send the student to that school, and then the STEM education become a priority program at that school. This is start from that small schools, and then after that, the government start to find out that school, and then invited the school, and then explain what kind of program, and then start from that moment, the government opened the mind, and then trying to implement the STEM educations in some example school, not only in Java, but also in other region in Indonesia. So even though it is not a smooth part, but when we can not to give up, when we try hard, I think the result will be like this. So I also feel glad because of my university also believe in STEM education. That's why they permit me to develop or to build a STEM education center in Indonesia as the first center of STEM education in Indonesia. And it's still a long way for me actually to develop STEM education. I'm not satisfied with this kind of achievement actually, because I want everybody learn, everybody try to understand more about STEM education. Every teacher wants to implement STEM education, not for the teacher, but for the students, for the future of our students, for the future of our human being in the earth. Because without STEM literate, the human will dissolve this earth maybe, because they have no knowledge about how to deal with the environment. So that's why in the one time of our activity, we bring up a theme about disaster, because why we want students aware about why disaster come, why the natural disaster come. Is it because of the human being itself? So what should we do in the future? What should they do in the future? Actually, this is not for me, this is not for the teacher, but this is for our future human being. Hopefully that in this earth there will be peacefully, that will be a better world. And we start from STEM education. We start from little classroom and then become a big school, and then from school we can start creating a program in the district or in the province, and then finally maybe we can reach up the highest level is in the government, in the Ministry of Education. That's all a little bit experience in me. Hopefully that all this kind of classroom, online global classroom learning can disappear the barrier between countries. Not only stop here. I hope you can invite other Japanese, Korean, Thailand, so we can collaborate more about STEM education, and we can spread the positive impact of STEM education around the world. That's all for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Irma. Okay. I would like to thank both of you, Dr. Hadi and Dr. Irma, for your very best informative session and very entertaining sharing about STEM. And we really appreciate it. And from the topic sharing today, unity in diversity, we can see that the STEM itself is very broadly used and is very important to our education system, right? So I think that's all for both of you. Okay, see you again. Thank you.
Okay, see you.
All right. Now we are at the end of the program. So I would like to thank everyone, especially the audience and also the university, UPM and UPI. So may us meet again. Don't forget to register your attendance in the link provided. Until meet again. Ma'assalama. Assalamualaikum.